Hello everybody, Lord Almighty here. Today is Saturday, August 26th, 2023, and I'm gonna warn you guys up front, this could be a very short and very boring video, because today I am going to be focusing my attention on small ponds that I have given up on. I fished them once or twice, didn't catch anything, didn't see anything that would make me want to come back, so I pretty much wrote them off. But given that it is the middle of summer, it's hot, sunny, no matter where I went today, the bite would have been tough. I decided, what the heck, let me take a chance, do something different. So here I am at the first nondescript pond, and I am going to start out by throwing around what is just about as close to a guarantee as there is in fishing, and that's fishing the 1-inch gulp minnow under a float. So if there's any fish in here, even if they're small, they should go after this. My expectations are very low, but they've been low before and I've had some good days, so we'll see what happens. Oh, fish on. There we go. Bluegill, little guy. So guys, guess what? There's fish in here after all. There we go. I saw that fish swimming around in the weeds. Oh, and that's exactly where he took me. Another bluegill. This one's a little better. Well, he took that whole bait right off. All right, well, one thing I have noticed is that there's a lot of fish up shallow. So I think I am going to lower this bobber a little bit. Instead of it being 2 feet above, I'm going to have it about 1 foot above the bait. And we'll see if that makes a difference. Because I'm bringing it by these fish that are up shallow, and they're not going down to look at the bait. They're staying shallow. So maybe they're focused on the top of the water column today. We will know shortly. There we go. Another bluegill. Figured they'd be clustered around that matted vegetation. Well, I haven't fished this pond in, I'll bet, at least a decade. And I remember this place because when I fished it, it looked particularly lifeless. I forget when I fished here, like what time of year, but I remember not seeing anything, not even seeing a sunfish. In fact, I think the only fish I saw in here was like a dead fish on the bottom. So this is already considerably better than that experience that I had those many years ago. These fish are definitely geared towards surface feeding because they're checking out the float first, and then some of them are swimming down to look at the bait. Kind of makes me wonder what would happen if I brought a fly rod with like a little tiny popping bug on it. There we go. I pretty much sight fished that one. I took the float off altogether, thinking maybe I could work that higher in the water column that way. Got him. Saw him cruising along too. I just kind of started sight fishing for these fish because pretty much every fish that I've caught so far I've seen first, or at least I've seen a bunch of fish. So I'm not even gonna bother stopping to fish like a clump of weeds if I don't see any fish around it. There we go. Another one just swimming along, minding his own business, looking for an easy meal. That wasn't so easy, was it? Getting that hook in your face. Well guys, I've been fishing around this pond for about an hour. And while there does appear to be a healthy population of small to medium-sized bluegill in here, that is pretty much all I've seen. Haven't seen any bass, any pickerel, or any other species. So while catching a mess of bluegill out of here is certainly a possibility, I don't think it's really good for much else. So I am going to give this pond a rating of 2 out of 10. I can come here and catch some bluegill if I'm desperate, but I can do that in just about any pond. So this pond really hasn't shown me anything today that warrants me ever coming back here. So I'm gonna fish my way back to the car. If anything interesting happens, I'll show it to you. If not, then I will see you at the next spot. Oh, I think I ended it prematurely. As I was doing the outro, I saw this guy swimming by. All right. There we go. I actually was able to pick this guy out of a group of smaller fish. Wow, that's the biggest one yet, by a long shot. That's starting to cross over into the eaten size territory. Look at that. All right, well here we are at the next pond. This one made a more recent appearance. This was actually where I went for my 500th video, and you guys were there expecting a celebration. I apologize because it was a really dead party. Didn't catch anything, saw a few stock trout swimming around, and that was about it. But hopefully today it will treat us a little bit better, and I can actually pull something out of here. Just gonna be pretty much doing the same thing I did at the last spot, throwing around the little gulp minnow. Ooh, that was a bite. Something definitely went after this. Probably small, because he didn't get the whole thing in his mouth, but that was definitely a bite. Ooh, oh, would you look at that? Is that what was eating it? There's like a couple of young of the year bass that followed this thing in. Okay, interesting. So we know there's bass in here. That's a very good sign. Now the question is, are there any that are big enough to eat this bait? I saw 2 bass cruising around here earlier. Not big, only probably like 6 inches apiece. And trying to see if they're still around. Oh, something was there. Something was definitely there. I wonder if those are the bass I saw, or if there's something else going on. There we go, fish on. What do we got here? Oh, well, that was a crappie, little guy. All right, so we got crappie in here. That's good. I've seen bass, crappie, a lot more variety than at that last pond. Digging it so far. There we go, fish on. Another little crappie. It seems like the trick is with these guys, you don't set the hook. When you feel them on, you just start reeling them in, because when I was setting the hook, I guess I was pulling it right out of their mouths. Yep, here we go, fish on. Right underneath the fountain. Another little tiny crappie. Must be quite a few of these in here. Wonder if they get any bigger than that. Oh, I guess it must be on a timer. I heard something click behind me. That must be the equipment for it. There we go, fish on. What do we got? Ah, little bluegill. Actually, the first bluegill I've seen today in this pond. That's good. That's 3 fish species accounted for in here. A variety of species is the hallmark of a healthy body of water. Would you look at that? We got bait on the surface. Interesting. Wonder what that is. Maybe I should tie on something heavier so I can cast out there. Oh. Would you look at that? Chalk up another species caught. That's a snail. Alright guys, I gave this pond about an hour, same as the last one, and I'm gonna call it here. I like this one better than the last one. I'm gonna rate this one about a 4 out of 10, because we saw sunfish, but we also saw bass, we saw some crappie. The main things holding this pond back are, obviously it's really small, and it's in the middle of town, so I doubt things in here get very big. Probably as soon as anything in here reaches any appreciable size, it gets spirited away in a bucket somewhere. And I think not having anything big in it is mainly what's keeping this place down. But you know what? There's a decent variety here, and in the springtime, toss in the trout that they stock in here. So yeah, I guess this is a fairly viable option if I just want to kill an hour or two catching some small fish on small lures. So anyway, looks like I will have to renege on my previous assessment that these 2 ponds that I fished today were dead. There's definitely fish in both of them, and if I ever feel like catching a few panfish, they are definitely a viable option. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next adventure.